Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to Founders First CDC's Business Essentials webinar. This is where we'll discuss small business lending landscape and talk to a few of the CDFIs across the nation that are helping to grow and scale your businesses. So we have a lot of exciting information that they'll be able to share with you. And as we see our guests rolling in, we're going to go through a few housekeeping rules, go through our agenda, and I want to make sure that our panelists have plenty of time to share their valuable information with you. So we're going to keep it rolling. If we can scroll to the next intro slide. All right, a little bit of housekeeping rules. There is a Q&A chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to add them there. We'll try to get to as many as possible before the end of the presentation. There's a lot of information. So don't feel bad if you're not able to get your question answered. You'll be able to contact our panelists afterwards if you have questions about your specific business or any questions that aren't answered in the chat. You are also asked to submit questions prior to registering. So we'll try to get through some of those as well too. So feel free, as I mentioned, if you want to share information or if you want to put your questions in the Q&A chat, feel free to do so. I also ask that we shouldn't have any issues with mics or cameras, but just in case, mute yourself, get somewhere where you can get some a piece of pencil and paper so you can take notes, because I'm sure there'll be some valuable information that you'll want to take notes of too. All right. A little bit about our agenda today. We have 4 wonderful speakers, and you'll get a chance to hear all about their background and their organizations. You'll have a moment for Q&A, and we also have some follow-up on next steps and how to stay in contact with the panelists, as well as what's going on further with Founders First. A little bit about Founders First CDC. If you're not familiar with the organization, we are a social enterprise that serves, we're headquartered in San Diego, but we serve 5 states. And so we have a very big footprint where we help diverse-led small businesses grow and scale. A big part of what we do and how we do it is through our accelerator programs that we offer for businesses across the nation, as well as our access to capital and our access to connections like the members that we have here. A big part of the connection piece is working with business service organizations across the nation, because we understand that it takes so much more than just one organization to help you grow your business to be as best as it can be. And so a part of that is working with CDFIs, with community-based organizations that are providing not only funding and alternative resources, but education and contacts as well. So if you're not familiar with the CDFI, a CDFI is a community development financial institution. So if you learned a word today, keep that in mind, because I guarantee there's a CDFI in the region that you're in. Across the nation, there are so many that are doing powerful work, and we partner with a lot across the region as well, but these are just a few of the ones that we are partnering with. So we're going to keep the train going here and introduce some of our speakers. Our speakers we have today are Adriana Williams, Partnerships Manager with Axion Opportunity Fund. We have Ray Fox, Business Development Officer for Lift Fund, Yesenia Diaz de Leon, the Director of Community Lending for Allies for Community Business, and Ian Lawrence, the Vice President of the Enterprise Center. All right, and before we do an introduction, we have a quick little poll. So all of the attendees, we want to know, have you ever applied for or received funding from a CDFI? So yes, you've applied and received funding. Yes, you've applied, but you weren't approved. Or no, you've never applied. Just trying to get a sense of who's here on the call and your experience with CDFIs. All right, give you a few minutes. Okay, we have quite a few that have never applied, so lots of opportunities for you to get some contacts and information about how to do so in the regions that you're in. So great, nice to know that. So let's get going with our contact from California. That's Adriana Williams with Axion Opportunity Fund. She's been with Axion Opportunity Fund for over 7 years, and she serves as the partnerships manager. Her previous role, she worked with small business owners, helping them to get access to capital. And that included helping the clients complete their loan packets, processing their loan applications. And prior to doing so, she came from the small business world herself, so she understands the challenges that entrepreneurs face with obtaining this business financing. So I will turn the reins over to you, Adriana. Here you go.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shaylon, and thank you so much, Founders First CDC, for having me here today on this panel. I'm very excited to share what Acción Opportunity Fund does and the services that we provide. So let me go on to our next slide here. And Acción Opportunity Fund is a CDFI. I'm so glad that Shaylon had mentioned that. It's a term that you all, I'm sure, will hear a lot about today. And just a little bit about that Community Development Financial Institution designation. It's given to us by the U.S. Department of Treasury. And in order for us to keep that designation, we have to continue to lend to women-led businesses, minority-led businesses, as well as businesses located in low to moderate income communities. And as an organization, our goal is to provide affordable alternative financing when traditional lending is not available. And just a little bit about our history. We've been around for over 25 years, and just a little bit before the pandemic hit, and I can't believe it's been over 2 years already, we combined with the Acción US network. And so aside from access to capital, we do offer other types of services. And then on this next slide, just to give you all an idea, we also provide educational resources, which comes in the form of business advising, as well as online learning courses. We're also very active on the advocacy side. We are based in San Jose, California, and we are a nationwide CDFI. So we're active both in Sacramento as well as in Washington, DC. We were one of the early proponents of the Small Business Borrowers Bill of Rights, which really underscores the importance of transparency when it comes to small business lending. And a little bit, just an overview of our numbers over the course of our history. Since 1994, we've invested over $1 billion in underserved entrepreneurs and communities. We've also helped and or retained over 50,000 jobs. And we've calculated that every dollar that we lend generates almost $2 in economic activity annually. Now, on the next slide here, on the left-hand side, you'll see a map, not to be political, but the blue states are where we lend. So we lend in 45 different states. And in terms of borrowers, approximately 37% are women-led businesses, and overwhelming majority of our borrowers are BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, or people of color. And now I'd like to shift gears to talk a little bit about the SOAR program, which we are a participating lender in. It's a fantastic program with very affordable rates. Loan amounts can go from $5,000 to $100,000. The term is 5 years or 60 months, and the interest rate is at 4%. And this program is really designed to help really the businesses that have been impacted by the pandemic to get them back on their feet. So a couple of very important eligibility requirements is that number one, the business must have been in operation since at least 2019 of September. And also just, before I dive further, the SOAR program is available for businesses located in the southeastern portion of the country. So starting from Texas and going up to Maryland and Delaware. And also other states would include Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, Virginia. So all these states would qualify for the SOAR program. Another important eligibility criteria is that the business must not have more than 50 full-time employees, and this must not have more than $2.25 million in terms of gross annual sales. And the application process is pretty simple. I invite you to go to our website here, aofund.org/SOAR, and fill out the pre-application. And if you do pre-qualify, you will receive an email from us inviting you to submit an official application. And in terms of documentation, it's pretty simple. Just a copy of latest tax returns, personal and business, federal taxes, bank statements from the past 3 months, and a color copy of your government issued ID, like a driver's license. And if you don't fit the criteria for SOAR, we do have our own working capital term loan, 2 important criteria for our loan program is that number one, you must have at least 12 months of sales or 1 year in business. and also at least 50,000 in minimum annual gross sales. And the application process is very simple and straightforward. You'll see our URL here, aofund.org. Our application is completely online. In terms of our loan amounts that we're able to offer, ranges again from 5,000 to 100,000. The term can go up to 5 years, and also interest rates vary between 5.99 to 12.99%. So we take a very organic approach in determining the term and interest rates. There's a couple of different factors that we look into. Number 1, time in business, let's say. 2, business industry. 3, your personal credit score, as well as your cash flow, obviously. So these are items that we take into consideration. And our online application is also very simple and straightforward. We ask very simple questions like your business name, obviously contact information. 2 very key pieces of information that we ask for, and I always recommend folks to have a copy of their business federal taxes in front of them, is number 1, your gross annual sales from last year, and number 2, your net income. Those are very important pieces of information, and sometimes small business owners just don't have that kind of information on the top of their head. So if you do pre-qualify, you will immediately know. And if you do pre-qualify, you will see offers on our website, on the portal. And only then, if you choose to move forward, we ask for documentation. And the great thing is that we only do a soft pull on your credit just to see if you pre-qualify. So it will not impact your credit at all, just to see if you pre-qualify. It's only when you decide to move forward and we collect a loan package, that is when we would pull your credit officially. And in terms of turnaround time, in order to get a loan decision, once we have a loan package, full loan package, it takes between 7 to 10 business days, and funding another 2 to 3 business days. So it's a pretty quick turnaround time. And I know we have a couple of questions perhaps, but we'll get to that. So just to shift gears, I'd like to talk about our business advising and education side of the house. I think it's really important to offer that aside from access to capital. So we offer online learning courses on our business resource library, which I'll show you later on the next slide. We also offer educational webinars and networking events. And we also have a lot of wonderful corporate partnership programs. And we recently had a cohort, a second actually, with FedEx, where they came to us asking us to curate an online curriculum to help businesses pivot from selling just brick and mortar to shifting to e-commerce. And FedEx was offering a $2,000 grant to help subsidize the cost. And we will have a 3rd cohort coming up soon. So I definitely invite you all to go on our website and sign up for our newsletter just to learn about the latest and greatest of our offerings. And lastly, we offer one-on-one business advising, completely free of charge. I like to reiterate, well, actually emphasize, I should say, that all these resources are free of charge. And we did have almost 1 million hits last year on our business resource library. So I'm really glad that a lot of folks are taking advantage of that. So as you can see here, just a quick screenshot of our business resource library. We cover topics, it really runs the gamut from budgeting to marketing, taxes, co-branding. And so a lot of great stuff here in our business resource library. And this really concludes my presentation. Thank you all for being here. This is our contact information if you'd like to reach out for more information. We have a dedicated team to assist you, and they are available from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. your local time. And if you'd like business advising services, definitely reach out to our advising team at advising.opportunityfund.org, or you can also go on our website and fill out a request to have a one-on-one with one of our business advisors. So,
great. Thank you so much, Adriana. I told you guys she had a lot of great information, and I see all the questions in the chat. Thank you all so much. Feel free to add all of your questions in the Q&A portion. We'll try to get to as many as we can towards the end of the presentation. There's a lot of info we want to make sure you get. And everyone will also receive a copy of the presentation. So don't worry if you can't write fast enough. It'll get sent to you right after, so no problem. Next up, we have from Texas, Ray Fox, Business Development Officer for Lift Fund. At Lift Fund, Ray works with small business owners to realize their financial goals. He's had a very rewarding year of learning from consulting and mentoring and advising enterprise owners. He focuses on SBA 7A and real estate lending for small businesses. We're looking for loans up to $500,000 for startups, franchises, acquisitions, expansion, real estate, equipment, and working capital. Wow. He's been in the commercial banking and financial services for 35 plus years, principally with Bank of America in Texas and Arizona. And he's a former SCORE volunteer, member of Big D Toastmasters, and a part-time teacher from Collin College nonprofit certification classes. So welcome, Ray. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much. Like our previous speaker, really appreciate you folks putting this on for us. I'm really glad to see how much interest there is in starting businesses and financing businesses. At Lift Fund, I am the old new guy. I've been in the banking business. I really got into this space when I started as a SCORE volunteer about 3 or 4 years ago. And so I've got my dream job because I like to loan money. I like to advise people, and I wanted to work for a nonprofit. So this is Lift Fund, some pictures of some of our clients. We're passionate about this space because we've seen over time that they need a safe place to grow. They need resources. The fourth bullet point there is we do a lot of championing, getting the word out about either clients or people that are small enterprises in our markets to either help them sell or just get the word out about what they've done. We've been in business since '94. They've lent a lot of money. I think the average loan size is in the $22,000 range. Last year, with the second round of PPP, they did 1,600 loans at an average size of $24,000. I'm very proud. There's not many places. I mean, a lot of CDFIs do that, but I know a lot of folks can't say they've done that. This is our footprint. We're primarily in the Texas, Delta, Georgia markets are our biggest. We have huge presence in the Valley, the McAllen, the El Paso area, and which are huge growth markets. We have 3 major solutions on how we approach the space. One is loan and money. Make loans between $500 to $500,000. We do have a full SBA 504 servicing group. The second solution is business and financial education. We'll talk a little bit further about that, but obviously when we're doing loan transactions, there is a lot of consultation with credit review and how to access capital. We do a lot of group seminars, and last part is resources. There's a lot of loan programs and grant programs and local markets that we try to either help facilitate or try to get the word out, be it either COVID money or helping small enterprises move on. Oops. We have 4 major loan products. One is our traditional community advantage. It's kind of similar to an SBA 7A. There's some exciting things happening. Unfortunately, the SBA hasn't come out with all the details just yet, but there is talk of us being able to go up to $350,000. They're also talking about helping streamline and making the process faster for applicants. They've kind of, in the past, it's been a one-size-fits-all. And so I'm looking forward to that. They're talking sometime in May when the SBA promulgates those new criteria. And so we're really looking forward to it. So this is primarily what I do personally, is the SBA Community Advantage. We have a huge micro lending group handling up to $50,000, do a lot of transactions. That obviously there's a lot of technical assistance that goes on in doing those loans. You see the rates there. I think the biggest thing that Lift Fund has to offer is we do a lot of startups or enterprises that are less than 2 years old, and so we use the Community Advantage, and we've also got a process with our microloan in order to be able to do that. The third bucket here is what I alluded to before, is with COVID. A lot of cities, the EDA came out with different programs in different localities. And I think right now we still have monies available in San Antonio and El Paso and what we call the Coastal Bend markets. And they're very good rates. They're primarily for equipment purchases, but there is some flexibility as far as including some working capital, can go up to about half of, but the rate is very, very attractive. And unfortunately, it's a program that's probably going away in about 45 days. There are any number of other, City of Laredo has, a no interest program or a grant program. So the best thing to do is to go to our website and see what we have to offer during that time. The last is the most recent product that we have to offer is the investment real estate. And so it's limited to folks that have been an investor before, and it also has to be for 1 to 4 rental units in low to moderate income or underserved markets. But it's a new product that is we can and it's been very attractive. A lot of people are starting to see take us up on it. These are the links to our application and also to the summaries of our different programs and grant programs. I really recommend that you go and take a look at what we have. Everything is up to date as far as the different programs and the criteria for each program. Wanted to talk about business support, technical assistance. We have our focus has been women business, and we have a center in San Antonio. We have a center in in Dallas, and in Houston, we're partnering with the Women's Business Enterprise Alliance to help run that Women's Business Center there. So there's some links there to find out what services they can offer, and also set up appointments. The Aprende is something brand spanking new that's being rolled out. It is a 5-week boot camp that is in Spanish. My colleague, Melissa Hernandez, is running it, and they haven't launched it yet, but it is very, very close. Very excited about this offering for technical assistance. And then obviously we have virtual learning opportunities. We have a lot of webinars and that talk about various items. Recently, we had a number of classes on social media or digital marketing that was very well received. 2 things I ask people when they go try to borrow money or want to find funding is learn or know what the 5 C's of credit are. And then also take a look at your finances. Pull your credit bureau report, understand what's on there. It will help you in in talking with lenders and seeing what the opportunities are there. And this is our contact information. The 888 number is our support line, which I am proud to say is very good. They are relentless in helping people get to the right spot in the organization, which is a great resource. So we've got our website there. You can contact me personally or my email. So that's all I got.
All right. Thank you so much, Ray. All great information. Thank you for that inside information too. So as you guys can see, I know we have members from all across the US. So I'm excited that you have a glimpse into each region. Now we're heading on our way to Chicago region with Yesenia Diaz de Leon. She is the Director of Community Lending for Allies for Community Business. So since she joined in 2016, she's held the role of Loan Officer, Community Lending Manager, Associate Director of Community Business, and now Director of Community Lending. In her role, she thinks creatively on how to establish referral partner outreach strategies to meet organizational lending goals and execute on those strategies by collaborating across departments. She manages a team of community business lenders that work closely to ensure the organization's funds the budgeted number of loans each year and coaches them through different client interactions. Prior to joining, she worked as a small bookkeeping and accounting business serving mostly Latinx business owners in the South Side of Chicago, and she holds a bachelor's degree in business from the University of Notre Dame. So Yesenia, I'm sorry, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Shaylin. Super excited to join you all. I was going to say it's good afternoon, and I realize it's 12:30 here in Chicago, but 10:30 for some of y'all. So good morning for those of you who are joining from other places in the US. Let me see if I can control these here. So as Shaylin said, my name is Yesenia Diaz de Leon. I am the Associate Director of Community Lending here at A4CB, or Allies for Community Business. And our vision here at Allies is that entrepreneurs from any background can start and grow businesses that create generational wealth for families and communities. The way that we execute on this vision is through our mission, which is to provide, and not to be confused with the C's that Ray was talking about, these are our 3 C's of capital, coaching, and connections that entrepreneurs need to really be successful and grow these great businesses to create wealth in the communities that we seek to serve. To highlight a little bit of our impact in 2020 and 2021, in 2020, we dispersed a total of $520 million to 24,000 community businesses and coached 19,000 entrepreneurs throughout the states of Illinois and Indiana. So our service area is Illinois and Indiana. To dive into the first of those 3 C's, those 3 offerings that I had mentioned, being capital, we offer capital to entrepreneurs in 2 ways, really. The first of which is lending. So we offer both term loans and lines of credit, anywhere between $500 and $100,000 to business owners that we've sort of categorized as either early, emerging, or established at what we consider to be very fair prices. So we'll sort of dive into more details on what those interest rates are and how we determine the amount that our clients would qualify for. We also often partner with other government agencies on offering grants. We serve as the administrator for several grant programs throughout Illinois and Indiana. Most recently, we've served as the administrator for the Back to Business grant here in Illinois, which is a total of $250 million being dispersed to entrepreneurs throughout the state. On the loan front, again, we are offering those loans and lines of credit at $500 on the small end, up to $100,000 as our lending cap. I know our slide says we're a little different from the lenders. I'd like to say we're very different from other lenders, especially in the sense that we do not consider credit scores at all when evaluating someone's ability to qualify for a loan with us. And we also do not require any pledged collateral. Instead, what we'll do is evaluate how well the entrepreneur has managed their debts, specifically in the last 2 years, and how they have managed their cash flow to ensure that we're putting them in a good position to make payments on our loan. All of our loans right now are at 24-month terms with a 3% interest rate and 3% closing. We are running this 3% as a promotion that will end in June. So June 30th will be the last day to apply if an entrepreneur wants to take advantage of that 3% interest rate. After June 30th, we will go back to our standard interest rate of 9% with a 1% closing fee. The expectation is that once an entrepreneur has made contact with us, we will be in contact with them within 24 hours to discuss opportunities for growth or ways that A4CB can help. To dive into a little bit more on how we have made pretty significant changes to our credit policy to help more entrepreneurs with access to capital, we've split up requests up to $25,000 versus those seeking between $25,000 and $100,000. This slide is describing the up to $25,000 requests. So like I said, we're not looking for any credit scores at all, but rather 3 key criteria on an entrepreneur's credit report. And those criteria are, in the last 24 months, have they avoided any bankruptcies or non-medical collections or charge-offs greater than $500? In the last 12 months, have they made on-time payments on their open trade lines, and have they had at least one trade line that they've been paying on? And do they currently have at least 25% availability to draw on their revolving accounts? Essentially, our application and algorithm is set up to give a pre-approval of 1.5 times the largest trade line the borrower has paid on in the last 12 months. I like to give an example when I run through this seemingly complicated, which it's not, explanation here. So let's say someone is applying for $15,000. They have met all of these 3 criteria, and the largest trade line they've been paying on for the last year is a $10,000 note. That means that our system would then pre-approve them for the $15,000 requested, because that would be the 1.5 times the $10,000 they've been paying on. Now, let's say someone perhaps doesn't meet one of these criteria. Maybe there was a slow pay, maybe the availability doesn't meet that 25% threshold. Then all that means is that we collect documentation for underwriting. So whereas the step 1 is a straight credit or credit history approval, the step 2 requires full underwriting, where the entrepreneur would be given the option to either present us with their 3 years of business and personal taxes, or 3 months of business and personal bank statements, or their year-to-date financials. Based on the documents we've collected, we would do either a debt service coverage ratio calculation to ensure that we're meeting at least a 1.25 threshold, or a debt to income ratio in the event that we get the bank statements to make sure that we're meeting the 0.35 requirement to lend to the entrepreneur. If we have, I like to say, very bruised credit, we can still work with clients, right? So the step 3 is what we're calling a credit builder loan. And that's anywhere between $500 up to $2,500, really meant to help someone who is either trying to rebuild credit, perhaps it's someone coming out of a bankruptcy or has had several slow pays in the last year. We collect 3 months of business and personal bank statements to understand what the average ending balances are and do a current debt capacity calculation on that. And I should say that all of our entire credit policy is on our website in an effort to be very, very transparent and set good expectations for clients if they decide to apply. For those seeking loans between $25,000 and $100,000, the credit criteria are the same. So we're still looking for those avoiding the bankruptcies or non-medical collections in the last 2 years, the on-time payments in the last 12 months, and the availability of 25%. The difference for these larger requests is that whereas up to $25,000, the entrepreneur can provide us with one of those 3 forms of documentation. For the larger requests, we do require all forms of documentation for underwriting, and we have to meet the criteria on all 3 of those. So we'll collect the taxes and the bank statements and the year-to-date financials so that our underwriters can run our calculations and ensure that we meet the thresholds for the amount requested. To switch gears to our other offering, that second C that I had mentioned, which is coaching. We offer free one-on-one or group coaching to anyone in Illinois or Indiana interested in starting or growing their business. Currently, most of our sessions tend to be one-on-one with a member of our team, which we schedule directly on our site through Calendly. We encourage the use of our technology to do video calls with clients and really understand what their needs are. We also run a neighborhood entrepreneurship lab, which is a cohort-based coaching program through which our entrepreneurs have access to capital at the end of that as well, and have the ability to meet others that are experts in the industry. As I had mentioned before, we sort of categorize our small business owners as either early, emerging, or established. For the purposes of our coaching department, what that means is that we're able to get really granular in the offerings that we're able to assist with, depending on where the entrepreneur is in their business. So for those early stage businesses, a lot of what we work with on is creating business plans, establishing financial forecasts, registering your business, right? So incorporating, getting your EIN letter, opening up your business bank account, etc. For those emerging businesses, perhaps it's improving the financial management, preparing for growth opportunities. And as you sort of mature in your business trajectory, those established businesses tend to work with our coaches on contract opportunities, procurement, acquisition, things like that. On the connections front, so that third C that I had mentioned, this takes the form of our physical location, which is at the Hatchery here in Chicago in East Garfield Park. It's a food and beverage incubator, so really catering to those businesses looking for space to operate out of. We are also one of the 8 Chicago regional business centers, which means that we're able to assist with licensing needs that clients might have if they don't want to make the trek downtown and you have questions on how to get a license in the city of Chicago, we're able to help with that as well. And as I mentioned before, our business coaches also help with securing contracts and clients that might be interested in getting a certification. So whether it's the WBE or MBE certifications or other opportunities to work with our institutional partners. Kitchen space, which falls under our collaboration here, as I had mentioned, we are located at the Hatchery, which is a food and beverage incubator space comprised of 54 private kitchens and 5 shared kitchens. There's always a whole lot going on at the Hatchery. We've collaborated with people like Chef Rick Bayless on training programs for entrepreneurs seeking to get into the food and beverage industry. Also working with our local community, which is Garfield Park, to promote clients in the area with our weekend neighborhood markets, which allows us to showcase West Side products across different industries. And also partnering with ICNC, which is another local organization here, on job training programs as well. That licensing procurement, again, falls under our coaching department, specifically with connections, offering assistance with clients who want to become licensed. And once again, talking about the certifications, especially for those looking to secure contracts or work with our institutional partners. These are all of our links for you all to check out. Again, all of our credit policy is on our website. I would encourage people to schedule one-on-one sessions with either a member of our lending team or coaching team so we can further discuss your particular business and how we can assist.
All right. Thank you so much, Yesenia, for a great presentation. Everyone, if you just popping on or if you didn't hear me, the presentation and all the slides will be sent to you. So don't worry. If you didn't get all that information and you want to know how to get in contact with Yesenia and all of her great resources she provided, you will get all that information afterwards. So next up, our final stop on our journey of CDFIs, we have Philadelphia with Ian Lawrence, the Vice President of the Enterprise Center. Ian currently manages the Enterprise Center Capital Corporation, the CDFI subsidiary of the Enterprise Center. He focuses on assisting small business entrepreneurs realize their full potential through access to capital and business advice. He has over a decade of small business and middle market banking experience. So without further ado, Ian, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this, this panel. One of the things I wanted to just highlight at the beginning is the Enterprise Center has been around for 30 years, and it's actually 3 separate nonprofit entities. The Enterprise Center is the parent, and we have the subsidiary, which is the CDFI, and we also have a CDC as well. So very similar to all the other presenters, the Enterprise Center, really, our mission is to really cultivate and invest in minority entrepreneurs and really elevating the community they live and work in and really creating generational wealth. And we do that through 3 strategic areas, business, capital, and community, and working hand in hand together. On the business side, what we do there is very similar to the other CDFIs, which is we do a lot of individual one-on-one coaching and connecting those individuals and business owners to expert advice, external advice, from accounting to tax advice. And then we also wrap around that the procurement networks that we have. We're located in Philadelphia, so we connect with a lot of the anchor institutions in the city, like Penn Medicine, who have a pretty large spend, and really working to make those connections for the entrepreneurs to access some of these procurement dollars. We also run several centers that focus on certain areas, one of which is the Small Business Transportation Resource Center, which connect entrepreneurs in the transportation space with opportunities. And one of the ones that we're particularly focused on is actually out of New York, which is the Hudson Tunnel Replacement Project, which is a multi-billion-dollar, multi-year project. We're working to get our transportation-related clients to access those opportunities. On the capital side, we offer business loans up to $500,000. We'll probably reevaluate that soon to see if we can go a little bit higher. Our loans are coming either micro or small business form. Our rates are pretty competitive. I think the highest rates we have right now are touching about 7%, but we have a few specialized programs that offer rates as low as 1%. One of the things we realize in this particular space is that clients don't always need loans. They actually need equity. And one of the things we've been focused on is providing equity in the form of either convertible debt or a revenue-based sort of product, and developing that a little bit further, because what really a lot of our entrepreneurs need is some patient capital for them to really get started, and not necessarily debt. We recently launched to really facilitate growth on the higher end, a $50 million private equity fund that's focused on growth opportunities and growth businesses. So that's touching on some of the larger businesses that are out there that are really accessing some of the large Fortune 500 opportunities. Lastly, on the capital side, we like to partner with other CDFIs. We recently partnered with one out of Delaware, where, because this problem is much more larger than we can, tackle by ourselves. So we partner with not only CDFIs, but also banks to really help our clients access the right capital for themselves. And lastly, you can't have a thriving business with a dying community. So we also focus very heavily through our CDC subsidiary on not only neighborhood revitalization, but supporting some of the small businesses and the legacy businesses that have been in those corridors. And we have sort of pivoted a little bit to doing a lot of more real estate development. And one particular project we're working on right now is an infill in West Philadelphia. We're building a multi-story building. And one of the things we wanted to do was use 100% minority contractors on that job, not only to give them opportunities to showcase their skills, but also wrap around that education around estimating, because as we all know, a lot of the entrepreneurs we work with, estimating and pricing can be an issue. So really helping them through the bidding process when they're looking at safety, they're looking at how do you access opportunities with a prime when you don't have all your back office in order. So really helping them through that process, and at the same time putting dollars into their pockets. And revitalizing the neighborhood at the same time. So we're very excited about that. We just recently acquired another building in West Philadelphia, and we're going to do the same thing, which is taking these vacant buildings and really transforming them into a vibrant neighborhood. Next slide. So I'm going to focus a little bit on capital. So we, like I mentioned, we lend up to $500,000 to entrepreneurs. We manage about 11 separate specialized loan funds, one of which is, and I wanted to highlight this, which is a construction-related fund. In the city of Philadelphia, there's a lot of construction-related projects, and we want to make sure that our entrepreneurs have access to cheap capital. And so our construction fund, the interest rate on there is 2% to access up to $500,000, and really connecting them with some of the prime contractors in the city. Like I mentioned, we also manage a small equity fund as well. We're gonna, one of our priorities is really grow that to really focus on getting that patient capital into some of these businesses at an earlier stage, so that they're not debt laden and really have too much debt on their balance sheet. We want to right size of some of these balance sheets that we do see where there's too much debt too early on, and it really doesn't give the businesses an opportunity to grow. We recently moved into the southern part of New Jersey. We opened an office there, and we really focused in on accessing and really helping the Hispanic community. Camden, New Jersey is majority Hispanic. So we want to focus on that community to really revitalize that city as well, similar to what we're trying to do in West Philadelphia. Next slide. Our portfolio right now is almost evenly divided between male and female, slightly above on the male side. And like I mentioned before, predominantly right now, we're serving an African-American community. We want to expand more into the Hispanic community over the next couple of years. And so we're really excited about doing that. Our focus industries are primarily construction and food related. We do have a culinary center where we rent out space for entrepreneurs in the food space who are looking to either have a food truck or have a catering business in the region. Next slide. I wanted to highlight one of the impact stories, and this is indicative of really the work that all the CDFIs that are on this call do. Sometimes the dollars are very small, but the impact itself is actually larger than you think. In this case, we helped S&N Cleaning, one of the contractors we have in our portfolio. She was trying to increase the locations that she cleaned, but she needed $15,000, and it was just $15,000 she needed to support this new contract at 2 new McDonald's location. We were able to give her that $15,000 at a pretty competitive rate. I think it was 1%, because we have a specialized cleaning fund as well. And she was able to create 3 jobs with that $15,000. So imagine the sort of impact she has on the lives of those individuals to really change their situation. And this is the kind of work that we do throughout the region, throughout the country, to help entrepreneurs who have a dream, who have a focus to better themselves, to really be able to do that through providing the capital and the advice that they do need. Last slide is our contact information. Please check it out. You'll see all the services that we provide there. And you could also submit a loan application as well. If you do have any questions, you can also email us at capital@theenterprisecenter.com. So very excited to be here. Kind of wait to hear the questions and answer the questions that you guys have.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ian, for a great presentation. I told you all there would be so much information that you would want to take notes of. And final reminder, you will definitely get all of this information in the presentation form sent to you post. And we have so many questions to go through. We'll try to get through a few of them before we close out. So I'll pick and choose some good ones, some juicy ones to pick. There's a question here for you, Yesenia, and that is, are there other forms of capital that a small business owner can look into outside of loans and grants?
Yeah, so Ian kind of touched a little bit on equity as well. One of the things that I talk with my clients a lot about is the industry that you're in, right? So I work with a lot of truckers or clients that are in manufacturing. So sometimes I say, have you considered factoring as well as a means to have access to capital? So you can have, again, grants, lending, equity, factoring, crowdfunding as well, and reaching out to friends and family. I think that's sometimes overlooked, but one of the options that some of our clients seek as well.
Great, thank you for that. Question for you, Ray. What is the best way to get capital after you've made a few financial mistakes? I think it was Yesenia, you said a little bruised credit, but yeah. How do you get over that hump?
It's some of the most successful business folks have made a mistake. They probably made 2 or 3 of them. The most important way to fix it is to know what the problem is. And so be aware of, what is on your credit bureau report or the issues that you have there. And then start addressing them, and either, you have options of either disputing them or resolving them, or, compromising, or, settling, for less than what's owed. So the important thing is to know and to take action. And as one of the speakers talked about, that building up that track record since you did have issues is very, very important. And so that you can show, I recognize I have an issue, I'm doing better, and I'm performing.
Great, thank you for that. We're trying to combine a few of these questions too, so I hope your ears are perked, people, so you can hear the answers to your questions. One question for you, Ian, is, are you able to receive funding from multiple sources of funds, such as from CDFIs or traditional banks, revenue-based financing, or do you have to pick one?
No, you certainly don't have to pick. You can have, and like I mentioned earlier, we actually partner with CDFIs to do participations, and the spirit of that is you get multiple loans from different entities. So certainly, as you look for capital, you want to make sure that you touch all the different traditional sources, including CDFIs, including banks, so that you can get the. I think it's more important to get the right capital than anything else. But yeah, you can access capital to multiple sources. I think what you want to do as you do that is that you want to make sure that everyone is aware that you're doing that, that they can actually put that into the debt service coverage and make sure that you're not overextending yourself. I think that's the important piece. But you can do multiple sources.
Good info. I like that. Thank you. Question for you, Adriana, is, if my business is not eligible for funding right now, is there a way I can find out why I wasn't approved or how I can become eligible?
Yes, absolutely. And, legally, lenders do have the obligation to let you know exactly why you did not qualify for a loan with that particular institution. So let's say if it was credit related, definitely, work with perhaps a business advisor, kind of learn to see, what you can do to improve your credit. I know Ray earlier mentioned, just pulling your credit, learn what's on it, what's dragging your credit down. You can definitely work on that aspect. If it's, for example, time in business, maybe, obviously that after a certain amount of period, perhaps you can qualify with that lender, but there are obviously, other CDFIs on the call here that do provide startup financing. So, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, right? And the wonderful thing about working with CDFIs is that we're all part of this ecosystem. So if you don't qualify for a loan with one institution, usually we would refer out to another organization that can help. So there are always options out there.
Great, thank you. I'm glad you mentioned ecosystem for sure, because I see there are people from all across the region and they're trying to figure out, do I qualify for your program? Can I reach your program? Should I reach out to you? And I definitely want to encourage everyone to take down the contact information of all, and you'll get everyone's individual contact info as well to see if their program is the best one for you in the region that you're in. Something also to keep in mind too is that the ecosystem of support for small businesses that exist includes the CDFIs, includes the small business bankers in your local community, includes the CDCs as well. And we're all trying to do our best to provide you with the resources and services that's available. Now there's a couple other questions. We'll try to get a few more in. And I see here in the chat, someone put a CDFI locator link in the chat. So be sure and grab that. That is a wonderful resource to try and find ones that are directly in your area. One question asked is, are there specific industries that you try to fund more so than others? And I saw a few of you have programs related to, I think it was related to food services or cleaning. So do each of you have, and feel free to unmute yourself if you want to highlight any of those.
I'll go first. We're doing a lot of trucking. It's taken off, and there's a huge need, and so we're seeing a lot of opportunities for owner operators that want to buy their own trucks, and they make more money if they own their own trucks. So that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I'll add to this. Although we have a couple of focus areas around food, around construction, and some retail, we're definitely business agnostic, and we'll look at essentially any business and see whether or not it's something that we can fund. So whatever the business is, apart from sin businesses, I think most people understand that, we'll look at anything.
Yeah, just to echo Ian, here at AOF, we also are agnostic, and the sin businesses that we also cannot service would be those like smoke shops, liquor stores, anything, adult entertainment. Unfortunately, those businesses we're not able to serve, but anyone else, we are.
Yeah, the same goes for us. And we actually list out on our site those businesses that we can't lend to because everyone else we're able to work with. And it's similar to what Adriana and Ian have already mentioned.
Great, thank you. Another question that came through quite a few times was, if I want to receive funding for my business, is the educational programs, workshops, and mentors a requirement, or is that more of an add-on to the services that you provide? Feel free for either one of you to hop in.
Yeah, so at Acción Opportunity Fund, it's an add-on, definitely not a requirement, but obviously, different lenders have different approaches, so I'll let others chime in here.
Yeah, it's not a requirement. It's strongly recommended. And I mean, even if you have a lot of experience in running a well, operated enterprise, it's still always good to bounce ideas off of other, advisors to see if there's another way of looking at something.
Well, it's not required for us, but what we have found is that the businesses and business owners who participate in the technical assistance and advisory services do better. So that's an indication that you should do it. As Ray said, I think businesses, it's highly recommended because you don't know everything. And I think as you go through your business cycle, you'll learn so much from just talking to other people. And it could be something as small as do this with pricing. So I think it's important that you continue to learn as you run your business.
Great. Thank you all so much. I definitely want to thank you all for spending our afternoon, our lunch break, or your morning, depending on which region you're in, with us today. This has been amazing. And I can tell from all the attendees that you are interested in learning more and being more educated about how to improve and grow and scale your business. So feel free to definitely stay in contact with us here at foundersfirstcdc.org for more information about further webinars, on how to reach out to our community partners like the ones you see listed here. We also have some upcoming events for other ways of receiving funding. We have our Job Creators Quest grant, which is one for the Pennsylvania and New Jersey region. And we do this grant in each region that we serve to. So definitely stay in contact with us on ways that you can be eligible for further funding through our programs, or even going through our accelerator programs as well for further education and learning. And we have our challenge program in Pennsylvania, New Jersey starting, as well as our Chicago and our spring boot camp. So I want to thank everyone for joining today. As I mentioned, the information will be sent over to you with all the contact info. And if we weren't able to answer all your questions, feel free to reach out to our panelists today. And thank you all so much for joining us. You guys have a wonderful afternoon.